Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian universe and more. As always my dear Megalorians, before we dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post new videos. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So today's Boba Fett news is a follow-up to the video that I made the other day. These posters from the production crew at Lucasfilm started making their way around the internet a few days ago, and I did cover it at the time. The one poster which confused a lot of us was this one, with the working title Buccaneer. In November, it was rumoured that Buccaneer was the working title for The Mandalorian Season 3, and so when this picture was leaked with the Book of Boba Fett promotionals around it, it was very confusing. But thanks to a new picture of Temuera Morrison, we can now confirm that Buccaneer is in fact the codename, or rather working title, for the Book of Boba Fett. This is really exciting for many reasons because it means that the poster is legit and it relates to the upcoming show in December. It also means that the season 1 that's written underneath it is hinting at multiple seasons of the show. While we all thought that it was going to be a mini-series just like Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be, we now know that may not be the case. The Mandalorian universe might end up being more expansive than we realise. We are actually going to talk about the Mando-Verse in a minute, but first of all let's finish off talking about this poster. As depicted, we see Boba shooting a Wookiee and a Gamorrean. Much like concept posters for The Mandalorian, this might be referencing a scene that will indeed come up in the Book of Boba. If it is, it confirms that we will indeed see a Wookiee just like it was rumoured a few months ago. Could it even be Black Krrsantan? We just have to wait and see. So now my friends, we're going to go back and talk about the concept of the Mando-Verse, because that's our next topic that we really need to speak about. While the sequel trilogy is going to remain canon, the Mandalorian universe that Favreau and Filoni have set up is nonetheless going to be even more important for Star Wars than we realise. So let's find out why. This is a great article that I stumbled across which articulates this point perfectly, and it's called Why the Mandalorian is More Key to Disney's new Star Wars canon than the sequels. So they write, it's becoming more and more clear that the Mandalorian is far more important to the future of the franchise than the sequel trilogy was, and with very good reason. At heart, Star Wars has always been the story of the Skywalker family. The original trilogy introduced viewers to Luke Skywalker and his friends, and the expanded universe built upon this by telling Luke's stories after Return of the Jedi. The prequels, on the other hand, opened up an entirely new era, with Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan being the centre as the heroes of the Clone Wars. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, they intended to continue this tradition and release a sequel trilogy that would be just as important going forward. George Lucas had sensed the potential of the sequels, even drafting his own 3 films in hopes of increasing Lucasfilm's value. In a big act of betrayal, Disney bought the scripts but decided to blaze their own trail. No doubt they hoped the characters and concepts they introduced would repeat the narrative success of the prequels, launching countless spin-offs and tie-ins. But realistically, that never happened. Instead, it's now becoming clear that Lucasfilm has pivoted to place The Mandalorian, the very first live-action Star Wars TV series, at the heart of everything going forward for Star Wars. And this brings us on to the main point, how The Mandalorian is going to define Star Wars canon forever. The Mandalorian can be seen as the sequel trilogy that we never got. Lucasfilm initially presented Mando as something of a side story, the tale of a lone gunslinger operating on the outer rim of the galaxy, far from tales of Jedi and Sith. Luke Skywalker famously described Tatooine as the planet farthest from the galaxy's bright centre, and that was precisely the kind of environment that Djarin was comfortable with. But it swiftly became clear that the show was much more ambitious than that, with the bounty hunter's mission introducing him to Grogu. By the second season, Djarin was interacting with the likes of Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, and ultimately at the end, Luke Skywalker. The story of this Mandalorian bounty hunter was being skillfully woven into the overarching narrative of Star Wars. This has placed the Mandalorian in a position of remarkable importance. Season 2 brought back Boba Fett and gave viewers the kick-ass action scene featuring Boba that they'd longed to see ever since Return of the Jedi. Thankfully, this set up his own spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett. Rosario Dawson made her debut as the live-action version of Ahsoka Tano, the former Togruta Jedi, continuing her quest to hunt down Grand Admiral Thrawn, and she's getting her own spin-off too. Thrawn appears to be positioned as Palpatine's successor, leader of the Imperial Remnant, still operating on the Outer Rim, which means that the Galactic Civil War was never really over. Meanwhile, Lucasfilm's Dave Filoni is even exploring the history of characters introduced in Mando, with Fennec Shand appearing in Star Wars The Bad Batch and a potential cameo of Boba Fett coming soon. It really does feel as though the future of Star Wars is being built on the foundation of the Mandalorian universe and not the sequel trilogy. So principally, there are two reasons why Star Wars is increasingly focusing on the Mandalorian instead of the sequels. The first, sadly, is that the sequel trilogy cannot be considered a success. While they do have their fans, the sequels divided the fan base, and Lucasfilm's desperate and hurried attempt to fix things led to the unsatisfying ending that we got. In many ways, The Mandalorian has done what the sequel trilogy failed to do. It's introduced new characters and locations, and in doing so, it serves as a launchpad for countless new potential stories. What's more is that The Mandalorian builds so organically on what's been seen before. There's nothing so jarring as the sudden emergence of the First Order, or the revelation that somehow Palpatine returned from the dead without providing a proper explanation. It's also worth noting that The Mandalorian has led to a resurgence in interest in Lucasfilm's older TV shows and the original trilogy, driving increased demand for both Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, proving that viewers continue to want to engage with Star Wars after watching the show's first 2 seasons. Star Wars has moved on to the small screen now, and The Mandalorian is the new Lucasfilm flagship. So what does this all mean? Basically, The Mandalorian is going to be the driving force going forward. It's what all the fans are interested in. It's received unanimous love. And overall, like I said at the start, it's the sequel trilogy we never got. And that's going to be in the form of The Mandalorian Season 3, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. Obviously, Rangers has been shelved, at least for now. So it appears that these 3 shows are going to act as their own sequel trilogy. It of course won't erase the sequels themselves, and they are going to remain canon. But the MandoVerse is going to be the favoured sequels in the eyes of the fans. But what do you guys think? Do you have hope in Favreau and Filoni and what's coming in the Mando-verse? And are you looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett this December? Now finally guys, I want to share with you some set leaks. We don't exactly know what show this is for, but it's most likely for the Andor series. So Star Wars filming has been spotted in the Carashan Reservoir in the southwest Scottish Highlands. These are the pictures of a ship being built. It looks like a Razor Crest, obviously it's not, but these pictures really are beautiful against the natural landscape. There have been so many set leaks for Andor, none for the rest of the shows, but in a sense the secretive nature of the other ones make them so special. So I'm just going to show you these pictures and then we'll wrap things up. That, my friends, brings us to the end of this news update. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, be sure to hit the notification bell, and if you're feeling generous, please consider becoming a patron. For just $2, $10, or even $50 a month, you get exclusive access to content that's not found here on YouTube, and if you choose the highest tier, you get to speak to me once a month about whatever you want. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.